You ever notice how sometimes everything starts to feel connected? Like every sound, every flicker of light, every random thing you see isn't random at all. It's like the world starts whispering, showing you something, but only if you're paying attention. People laugh it off, call it coincidence, but deep down, they know it's not. Because when the sign shows up, when that strange little pattern keeps repeating, when something deep inside you tightens and says this means something, that's when you realize the message isn't from the world, it's from something beyond it. You ever think about how strange it is when something keeps repeating itself? A number, a letter, a phrase over and over again until it starts to feel like it's chasing you. You brush it off at first, call it coincidence, tell yourself it's just your mind playing tricks. But deep down there's this little pull, this quiet whisper that says, no, this isn't random. This means something. That's the part that gets to you. Because once you notice the pattern, once your brain locks onto it, everything starts to feel like it's pointing toward one thing, a sign. And signs don't come from nowhere. People walk around pretending the universe is just noise, like things happen without rhythm or reason. But look closer. There's always a pattern. There's always a thread connecting the chaos. You might not see it at first, but it's there, woven underneath every little moment that brought you here. That's how it starts, subtle, invisible, hidden in plain sight. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. It becomes a signal, a message that crawls beneath your skin, telling you something's moving, something's aligning, something's coming for you in ways you can't quite explain. The sign isn't a coincidence. It's confirmation, a stamp of alignment between what you've been feeling inside and what's been unfolding around you. It's the universe saying, you're not crazy, you're connected. And that realization hits hard, because once you accept that, you can't blame life for being random anymore. Every struggle, every delay, every heartbreak starts to make sense in retrospect. The dots connect backwards, not forwards. You see how each piece led to the next, how each pain had a purpose, how every moment, no matter how meaningless it seemed, was setting the stage for now. And when the sign appears, it doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't come with fireworks or trumpets, it comes with chills. That eerie stillness in your chest, that flicker of awareness that tells you you're standing at the edge of something bigger than yourself. That's the real sign. It's not in the sky, not in the clouds, not written on walls, it's inside. It's that quiet knowing that the timing isn't yours anymore. That you're not the one moving things. Something else is moving them through you. And you start to understand, alignment isn't control. It's surrender. The sign comes as confirmation for those who doubted too long, for those who prayed and waited, for those who thought silence meant absence. It's not random that you saw it today, not random that it spoke to you louder this time. It's because the timing has ripened. The message isn't about what's coming, it's about the fact that it's already begun, that everything has started to shift in the unseen long before you caught on. You were late to notice, but right on time to respond. That's how signs work. They don't predict. They reveal what's already been decided. You start noticing how people cross your path differently, how conversations echo the same phrases, how songs, numbers, or dreams sync up like clockwork. You think it's eerie, but it's precise. The universe doesn't stutter. It speaks fluently in patterns. You've just finally started listening. And once you're tuned in, everything starts to hum with purpose. You realize the alignment isn't out there, it's you. You were the one being adjusted, shifted, reshaped, until your frequency matched what was meant for you. The sign didn't appear when things changed. It appeared when you did. That's what most people miss. They chase signs like they're clues to a puzzle. But the truth is, the sign appears when you're ready to receive it. It's never premature, never out of place, never out of order. It comes right when your mind is still enough, when your heart has softened enough, when your spirit has grown quiet enough to recognize it. That's what alignment really is, recognition. The moment when your inner world syncs with the outer one and the message finally lands the way it was meant to. Not because the sign got louder, but because you finally stopped running from it. And when that happens, something shifts. The fear fades, the chaos slows, and you start seeing everything as part of one long, intricate message. That's when you understand the sign was never random. It was always waiting for you to look up, to pay attention, to connect the dots. It's not the world that starts aligning, it's you. The sign was the signal that the invisible has turned visible, that the waiting is over, that the message has arrived exactly when it was supposed to, in the exact form it needed to take. It's not chance. It's confirmation that the alignment is real. You ever wonder why that one letter, that one symbol, just keeps showing up everywhere? Like it's following you, mocking you, haunting you in the smallest places. You turn your head and there it is again, on a sign, in a message, in the back of your mind like an echo that won't fade. The M. It's not just a letter. It's movement. It's motion. It's momentum. It's the shift that happens when something hidden decides it's time to reveal itself. You don't see it coming. You don't even understand it at first. But you feel it. The energy changes. The air thickens. And suddenly, something inside you clicks. The M activates. And everything starts moving differently. It's not just about what's happening outside of you. It's what's happening times within times you. Something awakens, a pulse, a force. It's like your spirit recognizes that it's been triggered, called into action. The world starts aligning in response to that activation because movement attracts movement. You start noticing how things that used to stand still suddenly shift, how what felt locked now starts to open. You feel the gears turning, the current running stronger, faster, clearer. That's momentum. The invisible push that tells you it's begun. People underestimate how powerful that ignition point is. They think signs are supposed to be quiet, soft, polite. But this one, it's loud, not in sound, but in presence. You feel it vibrating through you, whispering through everything you touch. The M isn't just a signal, it's a command. It means move. It means manifest. It means the stillness has served its time. You've been patient, maybe too patient, and now the balance has shifted. The waiting is ended, the energy is flipped, and the motion has started. You don't get to stay the same when that happens. You either flow with it or get crushed beneath it. You ever watch how a storm builds? It starts small, a single gust, a flicker of wind, a ripple across still water. Then it grows. That's what the activation feels like. You don't realize it's happening at first, but then suddenly you're standing in the middle of something bigger than you, something that's been gathering for a long time. It's wild, unpredictable, but it's also purposeful. Every drop, every gust, every flash of lightning has direction. The M is that spark. It's the surge that makes everything around it react, move, align. It doesn't ask permission, it just starts. And once it does, there's no stopping it. People try to fight momentum because they're afraid of change. They cling to what's familiar, even when it's suffocating them. But when the sign is real, when the M has been activated, resistance is useless. Everything around you starts shifting to match the new frequency. You feel it in your body before you even understand it in your mind. The urge to move, to act, to create. It's not random. It's the current pulling you forward, faster, sharper, stronger. The funny thing is, the more you resist it, the louder it gets. It keeps showing up until you have no choice but to follow it. And then you realize it's not just about physical movement. It's spiritual, mental, emotional. You start letting go of things you once thought you needed. You start seeing connections where you used to see confusion. The old version of you starts breaking apart, and you can feel something new forming from the pieces. That's manifestation, not magic, not coincidence alignment between what's inside you and what's waiting outside. The M is that bridge. It's the invisible spark that connects your intention with creation. You speak less and feel more. You stop asking and start knowing. That's when you understand the activation wasn't external, it was you waking up. Every moment after that feels alive, electric, charged with something unseen. The signs multiply, but now they don't scare you. They guide you. They push you toward what's next. You see how every delay was part of the buildup, how every obstacle was weight training for your purpose. The momentum that once terrified you now becomes your rhythm. You stop running from it and start moving with it. Every heartbeat feels like a countdown. Every thought feels like fuel. Every action feels intentional. You've entered the flow. The M didn't appear to confuse you. It appeared to activate what was dormant inside you. And the strangest part, you realize that it was never really about the sign itself. It was about what it woke up in you. The energy, the focus, the awareness, the pull towards something greater. The M is a symbol, sure, but it's also a mirror. It reflects back the part of you that's finally ready to move, ready to manifest, ready to transform. You can't explain it to everyone, and that's fine. They wouldn't understand. They don't feel it. But you do. You feel it deep, pulsing, real. The momentum is here. The movement has started. The M has been activated, and nothing will ever sit still again. You ever notice how the same things keep showing up until you finally pay attention? The same faces, numbers, words, dreams like realities on repeat, mocking you, daring you to connect the dots. You think it's random, you laugh it off. But the moment you start noticing the pattern, the moment your brain whispers times wait, this feels familiar asterisk, that's when something inside you wakes up. Awareness. It's like opening your eyes for the first time and realizing you were sleepwalking through your own life. You start seeing the threads, the connections, the timing, and it hits you. None of this is accidental. You were being guided the whole time, but you were too busy looking down to see it. Awareness changes everything. Once you see, you can't unsee. You start noticing how one decision from years ago led directly to this very moment. How that one heartbreak shifted your path. How that delay, that rejection, that disappointment was never punishment, it was placement. You start feeling the rhythm behind everything, the pulse that was always there but hidden beneath the noise. And suddenly, you're not angry about what didn't work anymore. You're intrigued because you realize every misstep was choreography, every detour was design. That's what awakening to divine timing feels like. It's chaotic, but it's perfect in its chaos. The world starts to look different when you're aware. Things that used to frustrate you start to feel intentional. You begin catching patterns in conversations, seeing meaning in coincidences, hearing echoes in silence. You start to sense that something or someone has been weaving your story behind the scenes. And every time you recognize one of those little patterns, that's not luck. That's communication. That's the universe or something beyond it showing you it's alive, responsive, aware of you in ways you can't fully grasp. It's subtle, but it's undeniable. Awareness becomes the bridge between what's visible and what's real. And you start to understand why most people never see it. They're too distracted, too busy looking for proof, too busy doubting everything that can't be measured. They live on the surface while the current of meaning flows right beneath them. But once you've seen it, once you've felt it, you can't go back to pretending. You become sensitive to timing. You feel when something's off, when something's right, when something's about to shift. It's like your inner compass recalibrates to the rhythm of something higher. You stop forcing things. You stop chasing. You start allowing. Because you realize everything happens exactly when it's meant to, not a second earlier, not a second later. Awareness makes life heavier, but also more beautiful. You feel every delay differently. You see every pain differently. Because now you know there's a reason behind it all. You realize that patience wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You weren't being ignored. You were being aligned. Everything that felt like loss was just clearing space for what was coming next. That's the irony of divine timing. It never asks for your permission, only your trust. And when you start noticing that, when you see how things arrive right when you're finally ready for them, you stop doubting the process. You start trusting the silence just as much as the signs. And maybe that's the whole point. Awareness isn't supposed to make things easier, it's supposed to make them real. When you start noticing patterns, you begin to see your own reflection in them. The choices you made, the thoughts you entertained, the fears you fed, they all shaped the timing of what arrived and what didn't. You realize that divine timing isn't some distant force pulling strings, it's you, syncing with what's already meant for you. When you become aware, you stop being the victim of time and start being the participant in it. The delays stop feeling cruel because now you understand they were perfectly timed pauses in a story that was never meant to be rushed. And then there's that strange, almost eerie calm that comes with awareness. You stop panicking when things fall apart. You stop questioning when doors close. You just breathe. Because deep down, you know something else is aligning. Something unseen is already rearranging itself for you. You stop chasing after signs and start walking in confidence, knowing you'll see them when you need to. That's how divine timing works. It's not a game of hide and seek. It's a dialogue. You ask with your actions, and life answers through alignment. But you only hear it when you're awake enough to listen, so the patterns keep showing up, not to confuse you, but to confirm you're on track. The moments that repeat, the numbers that follow, the whispers that echo, all of them are signs of alignment. Awareness of them doesn't mean obsession, it means understanding. You've stopped treating life like a series of coincidences and started recognizing it as a conversation. And once you realize that, once you understand that every sign has purpose, every delay has direction, and every connection has timing, you finally stop asking times, why me? Asterisk, and start whispering times, right on time, times. Funny thing about power, it's not just about control, not just about domination. It's about influence. The kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The kind that slips into a room quietly and changes everything without a word. People think power is loud, dramatic, chaotic. But real power, it's quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It just exists. Like the silence before a storm, like the tension before truth explodes. You can feel it before you can name it, and by the time you realize what it is, it's already too late. That's the kind of power the world fears the most, the kind that doesn't announce itself, but transforms everything it touches. You see, everyone wants to look powerful, but very few actually times are asterisk. Because real power isn't about how people see you, it's about what happens when no one's watching. The way you think when you're alone. The way you respond when no one's cheering. The strength to stay calm while everything burns around you. That's power. That's something you can't fake, can't post, can't wear like a badge. It comes from surviving what was meant to break you and laughing through the cracks it left behind. Power doesn't come from pretending you're untouchable. It comes from realizing you already were, even when you were bleeding. The world taught you to equate power with noise, with dominance, with being the loudest in the room. But the truth? The loudest ones are usually the weakest. They crave validation, attention, recognition. They scream because they're afraid of being ignored. But the ones who know what they're capable of, they don't need to say much. They just act, they observe, they wait. And when they move, everything around them shifts. People feel it, even if they don't understand it. That's real power. It doesn't brag, it doesn't demand, it doesn't chase, it attracts. Because it comes from certainty, not desperation. There's something dangerous about a person who's been broken and rebuilt on their own terms. Someone who no longer needs permission to exist. You can't manipulate them anymore. You can't guilt them, shame them, control them. They've seen too much, lost too much, learned too much. They've made peace with their shadows, and that's what makes them untouchable. Power isn't about being unscarred. It's about turning every scar into a reminder that you survived what others couldn't. It's about walking through the fire and realizing you didn't burn, you forged. That's why people fear those who've made peace with pain. They can't be threatened anymore. The most unsettling kind of power is emotional control. Being able to feel everything but not let anything own you. To care deeply but act wisely. To understand the game without losing your humanity. People mistake emotional detachment for strength. But real power is the opposite. It's feeling everything and still not being consumed by it. It's hearing the insult and smiling anyway. It's being betrayed and still choosing not to become bitter. It's knowing the truth and still walking away in silence. Because silence is a weapon sharper than words. It cuts deeper because it forces people to face themselves. That's what real strength looks like. Not revenge, but restraint. You ever notice how the most powerful people never need to explain themselves? They just do what needs to be done. No justification, no speeches, no begging for understanding. Because when you know the truth, you don't argue with lies. You don't need the crowd to agree when you've already decided who you are. That's the kind of quiet confidence that rattles people. It makes them uncomfortable because they can't read you, can't predict you, can't control you. And that unpredictability, that's where real power hides. In being unbothered by chaos because you've learned to create order within yourself. But here's the twist. Power changes you. Not in the way people think, not into something darker, but into something clearer. You stop reacting to everything. You stop needing everyone. You stop explaining yourself. You realize that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every opportunity is worth your peace. That's when you know you've grown. You've learned that control isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. You've become the calm in every storm, the stillness in every noise. That's not arrogance. That's evolution. And people will notice. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you cold, detached, different. But deep down, they're not angry because you changed. They're angry because you're no longer accessible in the ways you used to be. You stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. You stopped shrinking so others could feel taller. You stopped explaining storms to those who've never been caught in the rain. And that distance, that detachment, it's not cruelty. It's clarity. It's knowing that your peace is the price of your power, and you're done giving discounts. Real power doesn't seek revenge, it lets karma handle the small work. Real power doesn't compete, it creates. It doesn't scream, it watches. It doesn't fear loss. It understands that anything that leaves was never meant to stay. And that understanding, that's what makes someone unstoppable. Because when you no longer need to win every fight, when you no longer crave recognition, when you're no longer fueled by fear or approval, that's when you've truly won. That's when you've mastered the art of quiet domination, not through chaos, not through force, but through unshakable awareness of who you are and what no one can ever take from you. People like to talk about signs, They look for meaning in everything, numbers, dreams, accidents, even silence. But what they don't understand is that signs don't come to make you comfortable. They come to disturb you, to shake you, to pull you out of the illusion you've been living in. Sometimes they don't arrive as bright lights or heavenly voices. They come disguised as heartbreak, betrayal, or chaos. They come wrapped in confusion, so that only those who are paying attention can see them for what they really are. Because the truth is, when the universe sends a sign, it's not asking you to believe. It's warning you to prepare. It's funny, isn't it? How people pray for a sign and then run when they get one. They beg for answers, but the moment the truth starts to unfold, they panic. Because deep down, they didn't want clarity, they wanted comfort. But signs don't comfort. They confront. They strip away illusions. They reveal what you've been refusing to see. Maybe the person you trusted isn't who they seem. Maybe the path you've been walking is leading nowhere. Maybe the thing you've been chasing was never meant for you. And when that realization hits, it burns. It feels unfair, cruel even. But it's necessary. Because without that burn, you'd never wake up. There's always a moment before everything changes. That stillness right before the thunder cracks. That strange tension in the air when something unseen is about to shift. You can feel it, you just can't explain it. Your body knows before your mind does. Your energy starts pulling back from places that no longer fit you. Your gut gets louder, your patience thinner, your tolerance smaller. That's not coincidence. That's the signal. The sign you prayed for, manifesting in the quietest way possible. Not with words, but with vibration. Because real signs aren't written in the sky, they're felt in your bones. And when that moment comes, when you start feeling it, you'll question yourself. You'll think you're overreacting. You'll doubt your intuition. That's what makes most people miss the message. They silence the voice inside them because they're afraid of what it's trying to say. But signs aren't meant to be logical. They're not supposed to make sense. They're supposed to move you, to disrupt you, to redirect you before something worse happens. Because sometimes the universe speaks loudest when you ignore it the most. And if you still don't listen, it stops sending signs. It sends consequences. Ever noticed how everything starts to fall apart right before it finally makes sense? That's the pattern. Destruction before direction. chaos before clarity, pain before peace. It's almost poetic. The sign you thought meant end might actually mean rebirth. But you won't see it until you've lost everything that kept you blind. That's the thing about divine timing. It's never convenient, never easy. It exposes what's fake, tests what's real, and destroys what's weak. And the ones who can endure that storm, who can stand in the middle of it without losing themselves, they're the ones who emerge, untouchable. Because they didn't just read the sign, they lived through it. People think signs come to predict something. No, they come to prepare you, to strengthen you, to remind you that what's about to happen isn't random, it's written. The delay, the loss, the betrayal, it's all part of a script too big for you to see yet. And when it finally unfolds, you'll look back and realize that every moment that confused you was actually guiding you. Every person who left was clearing space. Every closed door was protection, not punishment. That's the beauty of signs. They make no sense in real time, but later they reveal divine precision. Sometimes the sign isn't even external. It's internal, a shift inside you. A sudden urge to change your life, to leave, to grow, to start again. That restlessness isn't random, it's a spiritual alarm clock. It's how the universe tells you it's time. But the danger is ignoring it, because ignoring your intuition is like silencing a fire alarm because you don't like the sound. It doesn't stop the fire from spreading. You can keep pretending, keep forcing, keep staying where you don't belong. But sooner or later, the universe gets louder. And when it doesn't whisper anymore. It shatters everything that's false. You know what's even more fascinating? Sometimes the sign is a person. Someone who enters your life out of nowhere, shakes everything up, and then disappears. They weren't meant to stay. They were meant to awaken, to teach, to unlock something in you that was sleeping. Maybe they broke you, maybe they healed you, maybe they confused you, but they were the message, a living, breathing reminder that you were meant for more. And when their role is done, they vanish, leaving behind only transformation. That's why not everyone who comes into your life is meant to last. Some are simply divine messengers wearing human skin. And then there are the moments when you feel everything stop. The noise, the rush, the confusion, it all goes silent. That silence isn't empty. It's sacred. It's the pause before something big unfolds. You might think nothing's happening, but everything is. The sign has already been sent. It's just waiting for you to align with it. That's the trick. You can't chase signs. You have to times become times ready for them. Because when you're aligned, you won't need to search. The right things will find you. The message will reveal itself. The path will open. It always does for those who trust the unseen.